Hey everybody, I'm doing some more late season scouting today, checking out some bedding areas. Just drove through that corn plot there. It is crazy how the deer have been in there. But there isn't a lot of corn in the area, so they are definitely honing in on the plots we have. We probably have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, probably 3 acres of corn, 3 or 4. And then there's some beans, and the snow has stayed shallow enough. Like there's probably only 3-4 inches of snow on the ground, so they're digging in the turnips too. Normally, once the snow gets deep, they are off those until the spring during the melt. But yeah, they're digging in those too, so that's nice to see. And we got combine corn too, so still able to get at that stuff too. So I'm thinking we might have enough to sustain through the winter when you include woody browse. But anyway, I'm gonna go check out a plum thicket here. I've done a video on this area in the past, but wanted to check out a little travel corridor I cut into it, and just kind of see what it looks like right now, see if I have to do any cleanup, if the prickly ash is taking over at all. What I did in this spot right here is I just cut a little travel corridor. When it's real thick like this, there's a lot of prickly ash in here. I just cut it back. I mean, I cut it back so it looks like a natural trail, and there wasn't a deer trail here before, and you can see now it's well worn, and they've pounded this down. And then yeah, I just give them a path of least resistance. I mean, I cut travel corridors in many different ways. Post logging here, I have a lot of travel corridor work I need to do just to clean up the trash. When you have a lot of down stuff, you just cut that junk back, and the deer are going to use it. I already see a couple of deer beds back over there. But like in a thick area like this, a prickly ash, I'll just cut it back and I'll spray it. I used Roundup in the past, but I'm going to use what Jim Brocker's talked about using, Jim Ward, a few other guys, just use ground clear, because I think that has a bit of a residual effect, so it keeps stuff dead for quite a while. I think I was reading up to a year, if I read it correctly. So put some ground clear in here when you spray back that vegetation, and get it to bare dirt, then the deer really use it. So I'll do that this year just to make sure prickly ash doesn't come back and take over my little corridor here. Yeah, this is just it's a little plum thicket back in here, and great bedding all year round. And the deer in here in the summer, they're really in here in the fall. Early season, it's really good when those plums are dropping. I get that soft mass. We don't have a lot of soft mass on the farm. Yeah, they go in there pretty darn thick. So not quite in the plum thicket yet. Here's a little corridor I cut in a while ago, and I cleaned it up the other day, and you can see the deer. Deer are definitely back using it again. There's actually quite a few deer beds laying right on the path. I'll walk this way just to show that. There's deer beds right there. You can see I hinged. There's a couple trees up ahead there that I hinged. Just hinged them over. When cutting travel corridors, you can definitely hinge trees. Just keep in mind that if you're hinging a tree in the shade, it's gonna die. In that circumstance, it wasn't in the shade. I hinged it on top of prickly ash. But you can still do it, because if you give them that path of least resistance, they're going to use it. Just don't expect your tree to live. Nice little deer bed right there. Yeah, I mean, I like to do that. I'll hinge a tree here and there. You don't want to ever make the deer feel like they're boxed in. You give them plenty of escapes, and they'll use it. I like to also kind of, make it wind a little bit, not just a straight shot. Make it look more natural. But yeah, this is a corridor I cut in. Now we're actually getting into the plum thicket, and they're definitely using it. I had to check that out. That looks like a heck of a rub, if that's a rub. Let's see what we got over here. Yeah, look at that. Looks like it was shaved on. It wasn't. The shavings aren't above the snow, but it was worked over at some point here this fall. And there you can see the bed starting About 3 beds up there I can see. But these are all plums. American plum are phenomenal wildlife species because when you plant them, they're thicket forming. So they form these dense thickets, and they have great browse. In the summer, you can see all the young shoots. I've cut back the prickly ash in here as much as I can, just to improve the health of the plums. But they get real dense. They form these real dense thickets, and the deer like them, especially early season. I know the deer are in here all year round, and they bed in here even during the rut. But this is more of a kind of an early season bedding option. So right now, I'm not finding a ton of beds. There's some beds, but yeah, I wouldn't say it's overwhelming me. Still a great species to have on your farm. And there's lots of deer tracks. They're cutting through here, and they're browsing on all this young growth in here. But yeah, they're just a nice species to have. So here's where I actually cut the corridor. I'm gonna go up here because I added to it the other day a little bit. See if the deer have used my new cutting. Got a good path going right here. Let's see, I got a deer stand right there's a big tower stand right up there. Kind of looks down in here. You can see I hinged a few trees, just moved them out of the way. There's my travel corridor, cutting right out to the CRP. So I added this one the other day. This was thick prickly ash, and I cut this travel corridor in when I was kind of screening the property line, and you can see it is getting used heavily. They're all deer tracks, and it was probably 2 weeks ago when I cut this. So, but I redirected the deer movement, and it clearly worked. So now the deer are using this. It's a travel corridor. This is where circumstance again, where like I'm confident these trees are gonna live. Got good hinges. You can see just the cambium layer still attached on that one, but I hinged them into full sun, so they're gonna live. That's not a good hinge. This is. Snapped a little bit, but I still think that one might live. On the bigger trees, I kind of just cut until they start to fall. If they snap off, they snap off. Doesn't bother me. But boy, they are really using this new travel corridor. There we go. And it just beat down, and it goes right all the way up through there. And there's deer standing over there. So here's kind of the little bit of property line screening. So yeah, plum thicket's looking good. Didn't look like there's too much prickly ash in there. This travel corridor is looking great. We'll see how it. I'm gonna put a camera on it in the summer towards the fall. I want to see how the deer use it. Might have to maybe set up a deer stand in here, because this is a rut cruising area for sure. But play that by ear. All right, you all take care and God bless.